Shrouded in mystery and cloaked in conspiracy, the tragic fates of John F. Kennedy and Robert F. Kennedy have captivated the nation for over half a century. Yet beneath the surface of what we thought we knew lies a narrative so compelling it threatens to unravel the very fabric of American history. Enter Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who steps forward with explosive claims that cast long shadows over these storied tragedies. Could the CIA have orchestrated more than just covert operations abroad? Are the unseen hands molding the course of U.S. politics from the shadows? This isn't merely a dive into history. It's an unveiling of secrets so profound, you'll be left questioning the very ground beneath you. Prepare to be drawn into a world where truth is stranger than fiction and the line between fact and conspiracy blurs. What we're about to reveal will challenge everything you thought you knew about America's most famous political dynasty. You won't want to miss a single moment. Following the footsteps of his father and uncle, Robert F. Kennedy, the long-shot Democratic presidential candidate has solidified his stand in United States politics. Over the years, with diligence, perseverance, and consistency, he has risen through the ranks among notable politicians in the United States, with his political background as his backbone. Over the last few decades, the rumors surrounding the gruesome assassination of John F. Kennedy and Robert F. Kennedy did not seem to die down. And with the recent claims of Robert F. Kennedy Jr., many are left puzzled with distrust towards the CIA. Robert Kennedy Jr. has backed the conspiracy theory that the CIA was involved in the alleged assassination of his uncle, former President John F. Kennedy, as well as his father, Robert F. Kennedy, who served as the Attorney General in 1968. He revealed in an interview sometime back that the CIA was involved in his uncle's murder, and in a recent podcast with Joe Rogan, he further alleged that the CIA was also involved in his father's death. This shocking revelation made by the politician solidified the doubts that have been flying around about the involvement of the CIA in instigating the murder of two of America's finest politicians. What could have been their intention? Was the assassination carried out to cover up a huge secret? Were there any other secret societies involved? I guess we will find out. The assassination of Robert Kennedy was another tragic incident in a year marked with unrest. Shortly after midnight on June 5, 1968, presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy was shot multiple times after giving a speech at the Ambassador Hotel in Los Angeles, California. Robert Kennedy died of his wounds 26 hours later. On the ill-fated day, candidate Robert F. Kennedy waited all day for the election results to come in from the Democratic primary in California. At 11:30 p.m., Kennedy, his wife Ethel, and the rest of the entourage left the royal suite of the Ambassador Hotel and headed downstairs to the ballroom, where about 1,800 supporters waited for him to give his victory speech. After giving his speech, Kennedy turned and exited the ballroom through a side door that led to a kitchen pantry. Kennedy was using this pantry as a shortcut to reach the Colonial Room, where the press was waiting for him. As Kennedy traveled down this pantry corridor, which was filled with people trying to catch a glimpse of the potential future president, a Palestinian-born named Sirhan stepped up to Robert and opened fire with his pistol. While Sirhan was still firing, bodyguards and others tried to contain the gunman. However, Sirhan managed to fire all 8 bullets from his pistol before being subdued. In the unfortunate shooting incident, 6 people were hit. Immediately, Kennedy fell to the floor, bleeding after he got shot. Speechwriter Paul Schrade was hit in the forehead, and a 17-year-old by the name of Erwin Stroll was hit in the leg. ABC director William Weisel was hit in the stomach. Reporter Ira Goldstein's hip was shattered, and artist Elizabeth Evans was also grazed on her forehead. For more than 50 years, questions about the witness testimony, hidden evidence, and the true identity of Kennedy's murder remain shrouded in mystery, giving room for concerned individuals to float conspiracy theories about the tragic incident. There are several non-standard accounts of Robert F. Kennedy's assassination. However, as with his brother's death, Robert Kennedy's assassination and the circumstances surrounding it have spawned various conspiracy theories regarding the existence of a second gunman, a woman wearing a polka dot dress, some mind control, and the involvement of the Central Intelligence Agency. The most prominent of the conspiracy theories surrounding the assassination of Robert Kennedy is the alleged involvement of a second gunman. The location of the wound sustained by Kennedy suggested that his assailant stood behind him, and eyewitnesses at the shooting said that Sirhan stood facing west, about a yard away from Kennedy. As these circumstances do not add up, it led many to believe that there is a possibility of the involvement of a second gunman, a suggestion supported by Thomas Noguchi, the chief medical examiner and the coroner of the county for Los Angeles. He stated that the fatal shots were behind Kennedy's right ear and he had been fired at a distance of approximately 1 inch to 3 inches. A significant number of eyewitnesses gave their testimony backing up these claims. They asserted that Kennedy was turning to his left as Sirhan approached from the east. However, during a re-examination of the case in 1975, experts looked at the alleged possibility of a second shooter and concluded that there was little to no evidence to support this hypothesis. This expert conclusion was not enough to settle the public, and as luck would have it, an audio recording from the shooting surfaced, and from the analysis of the audio recording, forensics expert Phil Van Praagh stated that at least 13 shots were fired. He went further to assert that the recording revealed that at least 2 instances in which the time between the shots was shorter than humanly possible, and that different resonances indicated that there was more than one gun. Forensics audio specialists Wes Dooley and Paul Pegas of the Audio Engineering Associates in Pasadena examined the findings and supported the presence of at least 10 shots being fired on the tape, along with an overlapping shot. Through their analysis, other sound experts concluded that there were no more than 8 shots recorded in the tape and concluded that Van Praagh must have misidentified noise impulses of the recording as gunshots. However, in 2008, eyewitness John Pilger suited his belief that there must have been a second gunman. Other unnamed witnesses claimed that the bullet holes were found in the door frames of the pantry but were later destroyed. Robert Kennedy's son, Robert Kennedy Jr., later affirmed that there were too many bullets and further stressed that it is impossible to fire 13 shots out of an 8-shot gun. In a 2023 episode of Club Random, Kennedy Jr. claimed that Sirhan was not the shooter who killed his father. Kennedy Jr. named Eugene Thane Cesar, a security guard at the time, as the man who fired the fatal shots from behind his father, one of which killed him. Sirhan was just a distractor. The real shooter was behind my father. Kennedy Jr. further cited that the Noguchi autopsy of his father, which he proclaimed was the perfect autopsy given the circumstances. From Noguchi's autopsy, it was noted that his father suffered 4 contact wounds from the discharge of a gun and that all 4 shots came from behind him. Kennedy Jr. described his suspicion about his father's departure from the stage towards the kitchen, a route which had not been cleared. He further added that Cesar was holding his father's arm as they walked towards the kitchen, the perfect position to fire the fatal shot sustained by his father. Another conspiracy theory relates to a Manchurian candidate's hypothesis that someone hypno-programmed Sirhan and told him what to do. Thus, he was aware of his actions at the time and that the conspirators wiped his mind in the aftermath so that he would not have no memory of the event or the people involved. If this were the case, it explains why Sirhan asserts that he cannot remember any of the events from that night. Edward Simpson Collis, a prison psychologist, supported this theory. Sirhan claimed then and has continued to claim that he has no memory of the assassination or its aftermath. Before and after the shooting, it was noted that Sirhan appeared disoriented. Mary Groves, a teletype operator, recalled Sirhan staring at the hotel teletype in a trance-like state. Herbert Spiegel, a Columbia University psychologist, said that Sirhan was probably induced via hypnosis into firing a gun in the direction of Kennedy without knowing what he was doing and without being able to recall either the events or the process of having been programmed. Spiegel suggested that he was in a state of hypnotically induced amnesia during the time of his arrest as well as afterward. In 2010, Sirhan's lawyer accused the CIA of hypnotizing him and making him an involuntary participant. Another piece of evidence that easily lends itself to conspiracy theorists is the multiple witnesses who claimed they saw a woman in a polka dot dress in various locations throughout the Ambassador Hotel before and after the assassination of the politician. According to the eyewitnesses, the said woman was seen running from the hotel with another man, exuberantly exclaiming, "We shot Kennedy." Other witnesses said they saw a man who looked like Sirhan talking to a woman in a polka dot skirt earlier in the day. The police report bypassed this evidence, believing that in the chaos that followed the shooting, it was more likely that the couple was crying and they shot Kennedy as opposed to "we shot Kennedy." Robert F. Kennedy Jr. strongly believed beyond reasonable and unreasonable doubt that the CIA was also involved in the assassination of his uncle. He appeared on the radio program with John Catsimatidis on WABC 770 AM. Kennedy said to the radio host, "The CIA's involvement in his murder is clearly proven by the weight of the evidence. I think it is beyond a reasonable doubt at this point the CIA was involved in the murder and cover-up, and there is overwhelming evidence of that." Kennedy cited JFK and the Unspeakable, a book written by James Douglas, as his proof of the nearly 60-year-old cover-up. Douglas spent 12 years writing the book, and it was rejected multiple times before it was finally accepted. In the 500-page book, you will find numerous potential justifications that the CIA and other government organizations might have used to assassinate the 35th President of the United States. According to the Warren Commission report, the official inquiry conducted by the UC government, Lee Harvey Oswald carried out the fatal shooting by himself. The 1964 study asserted that there was no solid evidence to prove that Oswald was involved in a plot to kill JFK. Unfortunately, we cannot question Oswald to give his testimony, as he was notoriously assassinated before going to trial, although he managed to tell the media shortly after his arrest that he was just a pawn. As the accused lone shooter was being taken from Dallas police headquarters to the country prison, a nightclub owner by the name of Jack Ruby opened fire and killed him. Years after JFK was assassinated, nearly half of the American public did not believe that Oswald had acted alone, and this fact worried the CIA so much that it issued a directive in 1967 outlining how to discredit the so-called conspiracy theorists who disputed the Warren Commission's findings. Kennedy stated that his father had investigated Jack Ruby, and he found out that he had ties to the mob bosses and casino owners who were in cahoots with the CIA. Although the CIA continued to deny involvement in the assassination, polls suggested that Americans believed JFK was killed in a conspiracy, even though no credible alternative theory to Oswald acting alone has emerged. As the shadows of conspiracy loom largely over the Kennedy legacy, we're left grappling with questions that challenge the very essence of truth and power in American history. But what if I told you that the mysteries don't end here? Across the vast expanse of time and space, ancient civilizations whisper secrets equally as profound and potentially earth-shattering. What if our origins are not what we've been led to believe? What if the key to understanding our past, and thereby our future, lies not within the confines of this planet, but in the distant stars of the Pleiades? The next chapter on our quest for truth beckons, where we explore the staggering possibility that we are, in fact, Pleiadian descendants. The evidence is compelling, the implications revolutionary. Are you ready to uncover the celestial connections that might redefine the essence of humanity itself? The journey continues right now. Dive deeper into the mystery with us, and ancient people suggest we are Pleiadian descendants. The truth awaits just a click away. Don't miss this next revelation in our extraordinary exploration of history's greatest enigmas.